When I was growing up in the 80s, there was one fish and chip shop in our town, and that was pretty much the only food place. Now you go to the same town in 2025, there's about 3 fish and chip shops, you've got about 6 kebab shops, there's loads of takeaways, there's burger places, pizza places. If we went out to eat, like when I was a child, it was only on very special occasions. Like if we went to a restaurant, it would normally only be on someone's birthday or Mother's Day or Father's Day. Nowadays, people eat out a lot more. Also, if you go to a supermarket and buy a meal deal, eye level, you've got all the colourful sugary drinks right in front of you, all the water and all the healthy things are sort of pushed further down. Have you noticed that? Now, I don't agree that fat shaming is right, and I don't believe everyone is overweight totally by their own fault, because there are several reasons that, several things that can affect your weight. Obviously, for women, you've got pregnancy, having children, that can greatly affect your metabolism, going through the change, going through the menopause. A lot of medications can affect your weight, treatments that can cause weight gain. Obviously, with men, they can have health problems too. If you get an injury or you can't exercise, that is obviously going to possibly cause you to gain weight. I don't agree that every person is overweight totally is their own fault, because I do think there are a lot of factors nowadays that do affect this. When I was growing up in the 80s, life was very different. We didn't have all these fast food places. We didn't have all the delivery services that you've got now. We didn't have mobile phones at touch of a button. You can get something sent straight to your door. Life in the food industry has changed dramatically over the last 20-30 years or so. And I do think a lot of this is down to society, and you've got to remember, in the 80s, a lot of women stayed at home, were stay-at-home mums, had time to cook healthy meals, look after children and do everything else. Now both parents have to mostly work. People aren't working 40-hour weeks, they're working 60 hours a week. Some people are working 2 jobs because the cost of living's so crazy. So life, now is very different. When I was a kid, I was out on my bike all the time, I was cycling everywhere, I walked to school and back. Nowadays, most people drive, you're not doing as much exercise. So ask yourself, guys, is fat shaming a good thing? Because I don't think it is. Everyone's got their own reasons, and certain factors can affect your weight later in life. When I started working as a chef when I was 16, I was working long hours. I'd often have to eat late at night, which isn't great for your metabolism. And then being on my feet for 10-12 hours a day, the last thing I wanted to do was go running or go to the gym and keep fit. So I did put on weight. I wasn't as skinny, as I was, and I did probably go up to about maybe a size 16 or so. Thankfully now I've got my weight down and I'm at a healthier weight and I do more exercise. But these things can happen in life. Your job can also play a big part in your lifestyle and how healthy you are. So guys, let's stop this fat shaming. Let's just look at people and think maybe there's a reason why they're the way they are. Society is responsible for this, I think, because we've got more food places. Junk food is a lot more convenient than it was 30 years ago. So just eat as healthy as you can, do as much exercise as you can, and try not to be tempted by all this fancy marketing, because the only person who's going to suffer is you.